which job is a lot less fun than most people expect. Preschool teacher, especially with new COVID-19 regulations. Ever try social distancing 3-year-olds? Oh my gosh. Build a bear. Weirdest and most frustrating thing. Granted, I didn't make it a super long time in the job, and seeing kids so happy is great. But they are really strict and the bad times get pretty bad. I'm a forensic scientist and it's literally the only thing people ask me about on dating apps. It's very technical work and it's extremely routine. Professional photographer. Not like hobbyist, but business owning photographer. Sucks the love right out of your work. Because you started the business to take pictures. Then Karen doesn't like the way she looks in one of them. So she wants the whole set for free plus a shoot for free plus those images for free. Then the 2 high school kids getting into a very ill-advised marriage at exactly 18 years old wants to book you for their wedding. But their budget is only $50. Then Karen calls back because she loves your work and wants to pay for another shoot, but only if you agree to do her friend's daughter's destination wedding for free. Then you get a call from your last bride. It's been 2 weeks since their wedding. Where the duck are her pictures? Then you get no leads from a bridal expo. Then a client finds out you don't support their candidate and tries to take you to court to get her money back. Then some insta thought who thinks she's influencing people offers a collab where you take pro photos of her and she adds shitty insta filters to it and claims her friend took them and she's not gonna pay. And then you get some entitled mom who wants you to photograph every day of her newborn's first year of life for $100. I went back to being a hobbyist. Barnes and Noble. Your job has literally nothing to do with books and it obviously attracts a lot of that type, myself included. Working in a flower shop. It's just like any other retail job, but people constantly tell you how fun your job must be. Also, helping grieving families choose funeral flowers is not fun. I'm a marine biologist. I spent the last week measuring defrosted fish heads. Well, I'm a scientist. I don't know if people usually think of that career as fun. But I think people think it's a lot more eureka, and a lot less this data has to be manually processed for 600 hours before I can analyze it. Not a specific job, but traveling for work. I'm in tech and a lot of people starting out talk about wanting to go to customer sites and get out in the field. I love to travel for fun, but it's hard to fit in the fun stuff when you have presentations and stuff to worry about, and a lot of times your customers aren't in the fun cities anyway. I also think I prefer the stability and day-to-day schedule of traveling less frequently. A pediatric nurse. Being a nurse for children and adolescents. Everyone in nursing school talks about how much they want to work with kids. The reality is that a pediatric nurse sees more cases of abuse and neglect than any other specialty. Doesn't matter where you are in a pediatric hospital, it's the thing you see most. I've seen so many DCS, Department of Child Services, caseworkers that I've gotten to know some of them and became acquaintances with them. Sure, working with children and adolescents is great, but people don't think about the most essential piece of that puzzle, which is their families. It doesn't matter how good of care you give to those kids. If you don't loop the parents into that care, you may as well just not be doing anything for them. TV/film production. I think most people dream of being the actor, the director, the people making the creative decisions, or the big shot producer calling the shots. But most of the people working in TV and film production are part of a machine. The grind. Working in a system. Trying to climb up to wherever they want to be. Many don't get to actualize their creative vision. Also, the industry can be project based, job security concerns, and location limited. Nice/la. Maybe other cities. Pay can be low starting out too, though it can be good if you work way up. But I did enjoy the type of people that work these jobs. A little more fun than the business folk I work with now. Edit. Just want to note I have a lot of respect for the TV/film industry. I would go back to it, but I would be careful about what the job and career path was. Video editor. The more I do it, the more I can't be asked. Although not necessarily bad. Beekeeping. Get used to the constant sound of buzzing during hive inspection / swarm removals plus wearing the protective suit in hot ass weather for hours on end. Give or take the situation. Also, there appears to be a large number of beekeepers allergic to bees, so EpiPens are a must. I always say the more fun it is to go somewhere the worse it is to work there, like amusement parks and arcades. Honestly, every job that lots and lots of people really want to do sucks. Mostly due to supply and demand. You're gonna be treated like shit. And if you complain you're gonna be fired, because you're inherently replaceable. Because there's thousands of people that would love to do your job for even less money than you are making. Baker. Coming into work at 3/4 am, so you can have a 6 am baked goods is miserable. Demolition. Everyone wants to break shit with a sledgehammer. Everyone is tired of lifting that sledgehammer by 5 swings. Nobody wants to load the broken stuff into bags or a wheelbarrow and take it to the dumpster. I did a 2-week demo job years ago where I had to jackhammer 75 pounds at least, a concrete slab and grind rubber into pieces. I'm in good shape, and that job knocked me up. Video game testing. I've been working in the game industry for 6 years now, and teaching for 2. Testing video games is thought to be just, oh, you just play games all day. La 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 lil, but it's actually very specific and arduous. First of all, there are a bunch of testing methodologies such as load/soak testing, white room testing, version testing to name a few. But the most common one is functionality testing. Functionality testing is so, if I walk into that corner with a shotgun in my inventory, I can clip through the wall. But if I have my M16 in my inventory, I don't clip through. Apostrophe. Paleontologist. You don't get to work with full dinosaur skeletons and do all kinds of awesome expeditions. You're mostly sitting at a desk looking at some pictures and logging stuff on your computer. Maybe examining a fossil occasionally. If you're lucky you can go on a real dig. And OMG spend hours in the hot sun dusting off rocks. Working in an animal shelter. For sure. It's probably less intense than zookeeping. But the amount of people who apply or volunteer expecting to come in and play with cute puppies all day is absurd. We're basically animal maids. You deal with animals of all sorts of behavioral and developmental stages, shitting and pissing every ducking where, and then you look over, and this ducking dog named Chumbawamba swimming in his water bowl, so you gotta fill that up 6 times and dry his kennel out, and then you go and mop up the cat room around 10 kittens who want to eat your mop, and also 4 children who are all yelling that there's puke in the floor and I must clean it. Now, not to mention all the extra behind the scenes work that the public never sees. How in the summer, during kitten and puppy season, the shelter built to house 500 maximum has 750, and I didn't take a lunch or sit at all for any of my shifts for the past 6 days. How the courts force us to put down animals that we know can be rehabilitated, but we don't get enough funding to fight it. How animal control just showed up with the 4th pregnant stray of the week, but intake is full and even double stacked in some cases. So your coworker fosters the cats on her own. Not even to mention the shitty ducking people who do dumb shit and end up getting bit or scratched, and the animal is the one who bears those consequences. I'm the proudest shelter worker in the world. I adore my job, even at its hardest. I didn't sit for 9.5 hours today, and I found a cat turd in the cuff of my jeans, but it doesn't matter, because a bonded pair of adult cats got adopted today. I took 6 applications this morning, and the cat in bank 4 with the goopy eye is already looking better, and we sent a mama out to foster. The hard work is always worth it for these babies. Acting. All the ones we see on TV and movies are the 0.0001% of incredibly lucky and talented people who manage to thrive in a hostile and overcrowded industry. And even when you are working, the actual job itself is 99% sitting on apple crate in hot macup waiting for some grips to move a lighting fixture. Then you say 3 lines over and over again for an hour, and then you rap. That was my experience as an extra. I waited all day for something to do and was given a role as a doorman, but neglected to tell me anything else. Luckily I thought to open the door and it made it on screen, but that was it. Flight attendant. 1. You are on call, on reserve, forever, have a terrible schedule, have no life, and make no money for 5 to 10 years. 2. While you work for peanuts, you can't afford to use your flight benefits in any substantial way. 3. Then, when you finally get a chance to use your benefits for a trip, you have to fly standby, which means you aren't guaranteed to get on the flight you want. 4. Then, if you do make it out of town, you better have like a week off so you can make damn sure you're back in your base city in time for your next work shift. 5. Did I mention there is an active US legislation, Railway Labor Act, that allows airlines to exploit so you don't get paid for certain work hours that you actually need to be working? For example, FARs don't get paid for boarding or any time the plane is at the gate. Worst job ever. Edit. Typus and clarity. Google Street View driver. You're all alone for 8+ hours a day. Can almost never take a break. Need to constantly be on and focused, lest you crash the $25,000 Subaru with $60,000 plus worth of camera equipment on it. You end up becoming an amateur meteorologist to keep track of weather patterns and cloud cover. And in my experience, there are a lot of people who just get insanely upset at you, at Google, and the job in general for a wide variety of reasons. I enjoyed myself when I did it, but it was nowhere near as glamorous or fun as I or my friends and family assumed. Edit. Thanks to everyone who expressed an interest in my summer job from almost 10 years ago. I'll just answer the most asked questions here real quick. Pay $15 an hour, but contingent on hours driven, which were themselves dependent on clear weather to ensure optimal image quality. Why not drive every day, no matter the weather? Google got around this problem by making you redrive route suits. Pictures turned out superb to prevent people double billing by driving the same easy route constantly. You also had a weekly quota of unique miles driven, so no double dipping. What could you do in the car? As long as the camera and the mapping software, edit, mapping software, thanks for the heads up, was running properly, I was on my own. I listened to music, the news, and lots of books on tape. I could stop for short bathroom breaks whenever I felt like it, and had an hour guaranteed for lunch whenever I wanted to take it, which usually amounted to eating in the car on the side of some lonely rural road 90% of the time. Who would ever think this was fun or glamorous? All I can say is, back in 2012 most people I talked to were pretty excited, myself included, about getting the chance to do any work with Google, let alone this cool new project that would let you see what any place on earth looked like at street level from the comfort of home. This was the era of Google Plus being a potentially exciting new thing, of Google Glass being the future of tech, and overall it was a different time. That's why everyone I knew thought this was a cool gig. Being a character performer at Disney, don't get me wrong. There are some amazing perks and truly magical moments. I know I'm super lucky and tons of people would love to be in my shoes. But the day-to-day work is exhausting in ways I never thought possible. Guests are ridiculously abusive. I've had things said and done to me I never would have imagined. The company isn't always great. It highly depends on your leadership, and there's so much focus on your body and face, good and bad, that it can be incredibly depressing and difficult emotionally. Plus, you have to accept that there's very little upward mobility. Most people grow out of it, and it's rough to know that one day you'll get too old or too fat, and you will have to start all over in a new career field. So you constantly are thinking either 1. What you're going to do when you leave. 2. How you're going to keep yourself there. I personally knew it would be temporary, and I now only work there seasonally while I have a normal career. But Disney has a way of sucking you in. Edit. Hey, my first award. Thank you so much. Accountant. Everyone thinks it's all fun and number crunching, but the constant stream of women throwing their panties and wanting to bear your children is honestly exhausting. Working in a music store, musical instruments, your days are spent listening to 50 different people play 50 different riffs poorly simultaneously, as if they are all putting on their own concert. Being a writer, I always thought it was my absolute dream job. but the only job I could get after college was working in a content mill as a blog writer. I used to work 70-hour weeks staring at the computer in a basement of an old bank writing bullshit articles about the dangers of mold, fence cleaning, and why you need a commercial awning, and the dream turned into a nightmare. While I still write occasionally, I'm now working as a communications person, so it is a bit less heavy. Trimming weed. IDKY people think working with weed is like working in the Willy Wonka factory. It's not. You literally get to make tiny cuts with sticky scissors for 8 hours. I have seen this question before, and then it was Zookeeper at the top comment too. Nice. Anyways, there's this making of Frozen 2 mini doku. Most animators work weeks for a minute of animation of one character, if not less. At one point they decided to leave out a piece that one person had solely been working on. Must be crappy to be part of the credits without being able to say this is my part. Working at a Charles Dickens fair is interesting, but not incredibly fun. It is hard to stay in character, and people get so mad when they see the Alice in Wonderland area. Yeah, we know it's not Charles Dickens, but we can't have a kids play area in the world of Oliver Twist, okay? Seeing all this makes me feel like I don't want to have a job, but instead live off fish. As in catching and eating. It's my favorite thing to do, not the job of a fisherman. Archaeologist. Did it during my 20s and that was more than enough. Long, hot days. Living out of cheap motels on shit pay, and you typically find nothing more than some pieces of glass and broken pottery. Every once in a blue moon you find something cool, but those items generally end up getting stored away in a box full of other artifacts never to be seen again. Being a chef. All the flair and awesomeness they show on Vice and Netflix is far from what actually happens in the industry. It's not all fancy plates and tattooed/cool haired guys doing their thing. It's a drug infested, law breaking work environment that only benefits the owners of a restaurant. Edit. Thank you for the love and good reads, people. I have some insane stories I'll share someday. For those asking, I'm a sous chef at Michelin level restaurants nowadays. Not a chef de cuisine yet. Edit 2. You guys are insane. I once had a server approach my table and asked where I work because he noticed the scars on my arm. Strong. Librarian. It's not all books and being quiet. There are also spreadsheets. I write adult fan fiction as a side hustle. After a certain point it's just like writing a paper, except you have to keep thinking of different synonyms for a penis. Zookeeper. Don't get me wrong. It's awesome to be around so many amazing animals and care for them. But the smells are ridiculously, insanely foul. I have a really strong stomach, and it's still tough for me. We've had some interns quit over it. I was warned about the smells when getting into the field, but thought, oh, I volunteered at animal shelters. I know what animal stink smells like. Nope. Not even close. Hey, thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe.